Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name's Bobby Waldron, and in this video we're going to be having a look at Amo's new panel line washes, and this is by Jimenez. Now these are a relatively sort of new product that's been brought out by Amo, and it's specifically for doing all your little panel lines on aircrafts and stuff. Now this range of panel line washes, there's about 20 different colours altogether. They're just up there on the shelf, but I'm just going to show you just one of these at the moment, and that is the deep brown, which is 1618. Now deep brown is basically the equivalent colour to a a dark dirt kind of weathering wash. Now you can go on the Genesis Models website, and there you'll see all sorts of tutorials on how to use the Flory models, weathering washes. There's ones how to make your own washes using basically pigments and water, and I also did like an oil based one as well, but this one is an enamel based one. So you know, we're going to check this one out, which is rather nice actually. I've used it and it does do rather well and gets the job done, but it adds a nice streakiness, shall we say a faint streakiness to the general whole model, which is rather good. So you've got to give it a good shake, get all the sediment off the bottom, get it nicely mixed up, right? And it's a simple task where we go off and we get a sort of a nice paintbrush that has a good point to it, but can hold the paint as well nicely. And what we're going to do is bring you in, right? And all we got to do here is we just dip in to our panel line wash, and then all we got to do is we just do we apply this in a pin wash fashion, right? So we just basically touch the panel line, and hopefully you're just seeing there. Maybe get you in a bit closer so you can see even more. Alright, let's do that again. We just touch the panel line, and hopefully you can just see how it's just flowing. You know, it's got such a nice thin capillary action to it that you literally don't really have to do any work, right? It just does it all for you and flows. Alright, so hopefully you're seeing that now. Maybe show you a different angle, maybe in the light. Just touch that panel line and it flows nicely. Show you a bit more. And the thing is, what you got to remember with this, it doesn't matter. Do you know how I'm touching it and it's leaving like a little blob mark? That's all good, right? That doesn't matter. I'm gonna show you how that's going to work to our advantage and give us another weathering aspect to this panel line wash. Just going over the decal there nicely. Right, now what you want to do, a few notes about this panel line wash. First off is you don't want to be using enamel based paints and enamel based glosses to like protect your paintwork and all that kind of stuff, because what's going to happen is we're using enamel based wash here. We're going to clean it up in a bit with enamel based thinner, and it's just going to mess up all your paintwork because they're going to react together. But by using nice simple acrylic paints and acrylic based glosses to protect your paintwork, it's going to act like oil to water. You know, enamels and acrylics, it's literally like oil to water. They don't mix, so they're not gonna. We're not gonna kind of like start rehydrating our acrylic paints here and then end up with a mess. So that is one important thing you need to remember when using this stuff, is just to make sure, you know, you put acrylic paints down and then you use these enamel based washes, and you shouldn't have any problems at all. So I'm just going to go around and do this panel line wash, hopefully, as you can see there, all the way around this wing. Then you want to leave it for maybe like 20-30 minutes to dry. If you really sort of leave it maybe the next day to dry, it just makes the next process a bit harder to sort of rehydrate and sort of stub down the actual these enamel panel line washes. So about 20-30 minutes is a nice time, and it just rehydrates it nicely and cleans it up a lot more nicely. So I'm just gonna finish these and I'll show you the next bit. So now that's nicely dried for about half an hour, we want to get out Ammo's Enamel Odorless Thinners 2018. Nice thinners to use. I know people do say, oh, you can go off and use white spirits or something like that, turpentine, but to be honest with you, really you want to stick with the modelling type enamels, just to be on the safe side, because I have tried out those other ones and they seem to be too strong or too weak. You know, these are specifically designed for these washes and filters and everything, that, you know, it's the right intensity that you want. So what I'm just going to do here, nice and easy, we're just going to dip a cotton wool bud into our enamel odorless thinners, just wipe it on a kitchen paper towel just so it's not soaking, it's just nice and damp, right? And nice and easy, we simply take our cotton wool bud and we just run it along in nice, soft, quick, streaking movements, going with the flow of air, so the direction of travel, which doesn't mean you can't go upwards, it's just you don't want to be going left and right. Right, and hopefully what you're seeing is those little mistakes that we did when doing the pin wash, as you can see, they're nicely disappearing now, right? And because we're just lightly touching the surface, right, we're leaving behind all that nice panel line wash inside the recessed panel lines, recessed rivets. But what we're also getting is, because we're just, you know, moving what was on the surface, the mistake bits, what's happening is we're getting a bit of an effect where you sort of get like nice light faint streaking going on, which is rather nice. Now you can just keep wiping this and wiping this until you literally just leave it in the recessed panel lines, but if you just do it lightly like this, you can leave behind these very nice faint light streaking effects, as well as keeping it in the recessed panel lines, which really does give you a nice a weathered look. Now we're going to do streaking later on in this video build, but this very light general streaking effect isn't something that's in your face, it's just general all round, very light, and it just gives it another layer, as well as the layer that we've just done of doing the recessed panel lines. Now what you want to do is, after you've done that, well, a few other little tips that you can do, if in the odd area or something you've maybe got a little bit too much of that panel line wash and you can't get in there with your cotton wool bud, same thing, just get a paintbrush, dip it in the enamel odorless thinners, just, you know, wipe it on a kitchen paper towel so it's not flooded, it's just nice and damp, and you can just get into all those tight spots and remove whatever, you know, you want to remove, right? Or remove it lightly and just leave behind just a little bit. Yeah, it's totally up to you, you can totally just play with this, maybe come back in with a cotton wool if you just want to tidy it up a little bit more. And that is basically it. So the next thing you also want to remember when doing these enamel washes is that once you've done, you know, your panel line wash, You may want to come along later and do streaking effects, engine oil stuff, fading, you know, pretty much loads of other stuff like that. But if you start putting down, for example, you know, they're streaking, this is enamel based as well, you put that on top after this is dried a bit, you're just going to rehydrate that enamel panel line wash and smudge it in. So you're going to want to put some sort of protective coat on top of this, satin, matte, gloss, whatever you prefer, before you go off and do, you know, other weathering effects. Really, that's what you basically want to do. So final conclusion for our panel line wash here by Mig Jimenez. I'd say they're really good. It just adds another option to panel line washes, because as I say, you know, we've got, you know, the sludge wash, which is like water and pigments, the Flurry Models one. I showed you an oil based one. Now we've got an enamel based one. You know, it really is, you know, your preference. You know, I know the water based ones like the Flurry Models and the pigments and water, they are nice and easy. You know, you just plaster it on and you wipe it off. Really easy. I think that is good for beginners, intermediate, even advanced people. But when you really sort of want to, you know, go advanced and you want to go to town, you want to add that little bit extra, I do think, you know, the Ammo panel line wash is probably what you want to use, because as you can see, it's a little bit more effort compared to, say, Flurry Models, because you do the whole pin thing and then you're brushing it with your cotton wool bud, which does give you really sort of nice general light faded streaking going on, but it's more effort. You know, you need a bit of experience, takes a bit more time, but the end results are better. So it really is up to you. But I mean, you know, as I say, you want to do something basic, go with a Flurry Models wash. If you want to go, you know, something a bit more advanced, you know, these are the panel line washes you want to get. So that is it for our product review. I hope you've enjoyed it, hope you've learned something, and hopefully you potentially wanted to go out and buy one or two. I would recommend the deep brown colour. If you just want to try it out once, you know, at least go for the deep brown, because that is basically the dark dirt version. It's a really nice dark brown blacky sort of colour. You know, so it's really good if you just try that one out. You don't have to get all 20 of them, but you know, that would be a good colour to start with. So I hope you've enjoyed that. So until next time, my name is Bobby Waldron, this is Genesis Models, and I hope you've enjoyed.